You're listening to the G1 podcast.
What's up, everyone? Monday morning, This Week in History. I'm GP from the G1 podcast. Thanks for joining me for this kind of weekly vlog thing. Let me know if you think I should be doing this more often. I'm not much of a video guy, but if you guys want it, I'll certainly do it. So just recapping what I did this last week. Let's see. Let's start off with one of the highlights of the week. I went to In-N-Out Burger, the pop-up over at Shinsa. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Chuck from Cali Kitchen.
And we haven't named our segment yet, huh? The food segment.
Yeah. Should we give them a preview of what it might be called? Or?
Yeah, we should definitely do that.
Okay, it might be called Booty Call.
Foodie Call.
Or Foodie Call. I did that so you can correct me.
Yeah, I gotcha. Foodie Call
or
Taste Buds.
Taste Buds. And the third one was?
Sound Bites.
Sound Bites.
And where are we right now, Chuck?
We are in Shinsa at Patio D for, what is this? What is this? Does that say In-N-Out backwards? I think it does.
Yeah, we're here at the In-N-Out pop-up. We're both from California, actually.
Right.
And we're going to see what this is all about. This is, I guess, life as a culture journalist and as a restaurant owner. In the daytime, not too much to do. Actually, there's a lot to do.
There's a lot to do.
We're kind of just blowing it all off to get our In-N-Out fix. What'd you have?
I had, so they actually only allow you to get one burger, but I had two double doubles. Because I was the first in line, so they're like, do you want to try one?
Oh, okay, nice.
The first one was a little bit salty. The second one, I don't recommend the animal style because the pickles they use are different here. But it was still good because it's just a taste of home.
The taste of home.
Yeah.
That's just a preview of our food segment we're going to be doing later on. Thanks a lot, Chuck.
Yeah.
I waited 90 minutes in line. What was really, really cool, other than the burger itself, it's that taste of home that you kind of miss when you've been out here for a while. Even though I don't actually eat it that much when I'm in California. Somebody spotted me in line, and that never happened. Somebody was like, oh, hey, you're GP. Somebody shared one of your podcasts. And, of course, I was like, it's like somebody spots me, but I'm starstruck. And that kind of generated a weird but really cool vibe in the line where people are like, oh, this guy does a podcast. And then I was just pretty much standing in front of a line of people saying, yeah, I do a podcast. It's awesome. And it's really great for when you have to wait an hour in line for a burger. Just saying. G1PD CST plug. Yeah, that was Monday. On Tuesday, I went to Google's Campus Seoul to talk to one of my friends over there about potential opportunities to do interesting things. So hopefully Alex from the Korea Nerd and I will be collaborating on some interesting events there sometime soon. We got some ideas in the works, so definitely be following both of us on Facebook to get all those updates. Later on in the week, I went over to Wolfie Yoga over in Haebangchon to do a little bit of sound field recording for an upcoming piece we'll be doing for Rock Bottom. Recordings this week. Shimin Says did the very first one of that. So you get to see how that turned out. I rather like it so far. I haven't gone through everything. And then I field recorded another Rock Bottom segment, kind of the teaser intro for the Be More Human project. My guest on that one is TJ Quinn. Today I'm working on jingles to put all of that together. So that's lots of work. But I'm excited. Let's move on to the meat of the weekly vlogs. So far, anyway, for this current format. This week in history for the week of April 25th, what is this Sunday? April 5th, 25th to May 1st. Okay, let's get started. Politically, pretty good way to start, I suppose. The first president of Korea, Syngman Rhee, he actually resigned this week in history. This is on the backdrop of the April Revolution that happened previously. The week before his resignation, people marched on the Blue House, things like that. We talked about in the last edition of the vlog. You can go back and check that out anytime. Also, on the same date, 11 years later after his resignation, April 27th, 1971, democracy kind of made a comeback swing here. Kim Dae-jung, 47 years old at the time, made his first run at the presidency. So he went up against the incumbent dictator Park Chung-hee, and of course, Park Chung-hee won his third consecutive term. But actually, Kim Dae-jung went on to get 45.3% of the vote, a really big portion of the vote, and that kind of galvanized the dictator at the time to kind of throw out the old constitution, and he actually dissolved the legislature as well. So he tightened his grip on domestic politics. That presidential candidate, Kim Dae-jung, would eventually run for president 2 more times for a total of 3, and then he became head of state in 1998, became Korea's only Nobel laureate 2 years after that in 2000 for his Sunshine Policy, Nobel Peace Prize, the Sunshine Policy of diplomacy with North Korea. Okay, moving on to some Olympic history, very relevant in the context that, we are approaching the 2018 Pyeongchang Olympics. This week in 2008, two Korean intended Olympic torchbearers actually boycotted their run, citing the Chinese government's crackdown on Tibet. There were all sorts of protests. I myself wasn't in Korea at the time, but rocks, bottles, punches were thrown. Chinese students clashed with other protesters. And actually, the flame did make its way through Seoul on its way to Pyongyang in the north. During that time, one North Korean former refugee, set himself on fire, or attempted to. The articles aren't clear about that. In protest of how China was treating North Korean refugees. So apparently he had a brother that was also a refugee. He was flown to Korea, but his brother was in China, and his brother was repatriated. And from what I read, his brother and his brother's family were then executed. So that's a very good reason to be protesting. I'm not sure what setting yourself on fire really does. In Vietnam, there was that monk that set himself on fire. A lot of Koreans have set themselves on fire. It's always in protest, right? It's not like if you're going to just commit suicide because you're depressed, generally people find other ways to do that. But setting yourself on fire is a method of protest, and I think it has something to do with martyrdom. I don't know any other countries where people set themselves on fire. There's Joan of Arc, but she became a martyr. Somebody made her a martyr. She didn't do it herself. So if you get why sometimes people set themselves on fire as a form of protest, you can go ahead and leave me a comment or tweet at me. I would love to know why that is. I would love to understand that. Okay, moving on, a totally different sector of athletics. Let's see, an athlete, 44-year-old Oh Eun-sun, back in 2010 became the very first female to climb the 7 summits, the highest mountains on each of the 7 continents. Let's go towards something that I don't actually cover for this segment when it appears on the radio, because it does appear on the radio on Monday mornings, but in a much more radio-friendly format. Deaths in history. A lot of the times this week in history, every single week is characterized by a lot of fatalities, because that's what media covers. So that's what's made available to us generally. 1995, April 28th, gas explosion in the Daegu Metro. I don't see a cause for this, but there was a gas explosion on Daegu's Line 1, and 101 people were killed, 42 of which were middle school students, and as many as 200 other people were injured. So that was very unfortunate, 21 years ago. Moving further on back to 1982, in one of the craziest killing sprees this country has ever seen, actually was, let's see here, the deadliest known mass murder committed by a single gunman until 2011. So that was almost 30 years he held the record. It's a crazy record. His name is Woo Bum-gon, and he was a former policeman. I guess he was all the way up until he started committing murders. Kind of frustrated with his life. He was cohabitating with his girlfriend. And back then, even now, that's sort of a taboo here in Korea to be living with your girlfriend or boyfriend out of wedlock. And he was living with their mother as well. Got a lot of pressure from society. Apparently, might have been passed up for some promotions or not recognized or something like that. He went in, used his authority as a more senior ranking officer, gained access to the armory, got a whole bunch of guns, and just went around killing people. And this was in the 80s, so you would think, oh, well, there has to be some sort of alarm, right? But apparently there were switchboards in the village for phones. So one of the first things he did was he killed the switchboard operator. So he took out the communications, just was really smart about that, went into the markets and just started literally picking people off from what I've read. Let's see, how many people did he end up killing? He ended up killing 56 people, wounding 35 more. And this village was in Uiryeonggun in South Gyeongsang province, kind of near Masan. It all ended in, of course, like a standoff. You know, he had some hostages, but he used grenades to kill his hostages as well as himself. Yeah, that's this week in history. Pretty intense. Hopefully next week in history will be a little bit better. Coming this week, the very first edition, fingers crossed, not fingers crossed it's going to happen, the very first edition of the new format of the G1 podcast, featuring the 3 segments I've been talking to you about. First one, Shimin Says with Sojin Kim. Second one is Rock Bottom, my blank slate on informing you about various aspects of Korean culture or introducing you to new things that might actually just be something you might want to check out. And my third segment, featuring James Yu, Chuck Chun, and Thomas Rhee. You might recognize their names on social media or from the restaurant owners kind of community here. They are doing a segment with me called Foodie Call. So it's all very exciting stuff. I hope you'll keep tabs on it. Wondering if I should rename the regular format of the show and how I'm going to fit in the documentaries. But that just means all more great stuff for you guys. Yeah, once again, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going places. Catch you next time.